BlogTalkRadio, the world's largest online radio network.
Hi, you're listening to episode 8 of Genre-tainment. We're your hosts, Marx
and Julie, and we're here to give you news about our favorite genre on TV, movies, web series, and everything in between.
We also have interviews. We have 2 this time. The first one is with Erin Way, the newest cast member of SyFy Channel's Alphas. She made her first appearance on the show yesterday.
Our second interview is with the New York Times best-selling author R.A. Salvatore about his Forgotten Realms books, Charon's Claw, which is available at bookstores starting today. He talks about his love of fantasy and how he created the famous fantasy character Drizzt. We also ask him why he killed an iconic Star Wars character in the book Spectre Prime.
Now, Way tells us a little bit about her new character and the work it took to play a superhuman character that can actually learn any skill.
And what you just heard at the beginning of our show was a snippet from the theme song for our web series, Reality on Demand. It was a song composed and performed by our friend Tishan Hardy, and you can find our web series at realityondemandseries.com.
Now, before we start the interviews, or the first interview, we do have some news, hot off the virtual presses. First up,
preparing to start its 8th season, some may say that the CW's Supernatural is past its prime. Well, new showrunner Jeremy Carver would actually agree, but he says he has a plan to fix that. Yes. And what he calls a semi-reboot of the series this season. Carver was with the show during its early run, but left to work on SyFy's Being Human, the American version, a few years ago. He said that he wants to get back to the more straightforward tales that worked so well for Supernatural in the past. Carver told TV Line he felt the show got too buried in its own mythology. And here is a quote. The one thing that struck me while watching Season 7 was I felt like the show got a little bit buried under its mythology. It became a little hard to tell exactly what was going on at times. The longtime fans all deserve intricate plot, but it felt a little burdensome. Resetting our mythology was one idea that I tried to bring into the show. And Carver said we'll be meeting a more mature Winchester brothers next year. He goes on, part of this season is realizing they didn't just spend several years together, they really matured in different ways. It's one thing to get in a car with your brother in year 1, but 8 years later, you've both matured and grown. You're both changing and trying to find out who you are. There's a lot of that type of exploration for these guys this year. So, what do you think? Did you like the recent Leviathan story arc, or do you feel that Supernatural needs a mini reboot? I think it needs a mini reboot. I think that the last couple of years, Season 6 seemed completely directionless, and then Eve was set up to be the big bad, but just was dispatched early on, and it just sort of wandered and pathless.
It seemed to lose its way.
And the Leviathans, I was so excited. I thought they were going to go kind of creepy Cthulhu-like, and I think that I'm a huge Supernatural fan, but I felt like the Leviathans were just too silly to even be
They felt
scary.
more like Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
No, Buffy actually had scarier, more serious. So I don't know. I mean, I think that maybe, I don't know.
They felt like Buffy the Vampire Slayer bad guys from a one-shot episode.
Yeah, but they stretched them out so long. And this is certainly one of those shows where you can't have a strong show without a strong big bad, you know. I mean, to be fair, it was hard to top Lucifer, Satan. But yeah, so I'm excited. Jeremy Carver has written some really great, iconic episodes. One of the big favorites, I think he wrote Mystery Spot and Wishing Well. So he certainly has a good handle on the characters. So hopefully that can get it back on track, because I do love me some Supernatural.
And Ian, who's in the chat room, said that they remind him of like the Ori on Stargate, how they were kind of weaker villains.
I didn't really like the Ori on...
The Leviathans, in a way, are kind of like a variation on the demons in Supernatural.
Yeah.
They're kind of less scary.
They were. So hopefully we can get a good big bad. I like the ideas a little bit. They have been maturing, the Winchester brothers, over time. Obviously, the actors have grown over 8 years as well. So Okay, enough of that. I'm just really excited.
This is the Supernatural show now.
I could do an entire show on Supernatural, no problem.
Okay, so it hasn't aired yet, but the upcoming superhero series, Arrow, could manage to do something that fellow CW show, Smallville, couldn't do in its entire 10-year run, and that's show Batman on the small screen.
Oh, that would be great.
Arrow producer Mark Guggenheim. I always have an issue with his last name. Told this to IGN when asked if Oliver Queen, a.k.a. Green Arrow, would have any superhero help in DC Universe. I would say probably. One of the things we want to do is roll the show out at the right pace. For the most part, I think we've taken the philosophy that things are happening sooner rather than later. I always feel like every time we get the note from the network, is this happening too soon? I feel like we're on the right track. I know as a viewer myself, I'm impatient. I want to see stuff. We're not going to make the audience wait to see characters, plot twists, revelations. I think running out of great characters and great moments is a quality problem to have, and I just want to have them. So when pressed on who could possibly guest star, he did say that the end of Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight film trilogy could free up Bruce Wayne for a trip to Arrow's home turf. As you may or may not know, the producers of Smallville did try and fail to bring Batman to their show.
I know.
Yeah, I believe that one character that was really weird. That
was trying to be.
Yeah, there's a character that introduced that some people thought was going to be Batman. I think he was originally supposed to be, and he wasn't, and it was a big letdown. Yeah. But anyway, they were always stopped by the powers that be because of their fear that it could confuse fans of the film series.
How stupid do they think we are?
But now that the film series is done, they hope to be able to use Batman. Quote, "Oh, my hope is that we can use him at some point. I think that plagued the Smallville showrunners more than it plagues us because obviously the Dark Knight trilogy is over. They're not available to us yet. My hope is that they'll be available to us at some point. That would be awesome. No question, that would be absolutely awesome. But I don't know. That's above my pay grade." So what do you think? Should Batman pop up in a future episode of Arrow?
I think it is. I don't understand where they think it would be confusing. I mean, I don't think anyone truly believes Christian Bale is Batman and therefore would be just horribly confused that he doesn't show up on the small screen.
He is really Batman. Santa Claus is real.
Oh,
Santa Claus is Batman.
Ooh, cool. That's how he gets down the chimney.
Yeah.
But yeah, and also they seem to. They've managed to juggle different animated series and different universes within comic books all at the same time. I think they need to stop assuming that we're all too stupid to follow the different things. So anyway, speaking of Batman, did you wonder what the real origin story of Bane is in The Dark Knight Rises? The film's costume designer told GQ it was filmed, but it didn't make the final cut. One thing that's been consistent about all three of director Christopher Nolan's Batman movies is the lack of a fully detailed origin story for his primary villains. Ra's al Ghul, the Joker, and Bane all have backstories ranging from murky to non-existent, and we think we're seeing Bane's origin at one point.
Oh, spoiler.
Oh, sorry. But it's not necessarily.
Or is it? They haven't watched it yet. I don't know. It's been weeks.
That's true. I assumed everybody in the world has seen it at this point. So anyway, costume designer Lindy Hemmings, who's worked on all three Nolan Batman films, alluded to a prison sequence in The Dark Knight Rises in which we see how much a younger Bane got the injuries we glimpsed in the movie. Quote, "The other thing that you should have seen during that sequence is him being injured in his youth. So one of the fundamental things about his costume is that he has this scar from the back injury. Even if he hasn't got the bulletproof vest on, he still has to wear the waist belt and the braces. And in that scene in the prison where he's learning to fight the same way Batman learned to fight, he's wearing an early version of his waist belt. It's showing support, but it's not the finished one he eventually wears. He's also wearing an early version of his gas mask, all glued together. And when it was clarified that the scene didn't make the final cut, she had this to say, 'Well, that's an awful shame, but I suppose you have to cut things. I won't elaborate on it too much because it isn't in the film, but there was another section that showed you why he had the mask and where it came from. And origin for Bane appears to have been filmed and then dropped. So does Bane work better with a secret origin?'"
Secret origin. He's really Joker's brother.
Don't tell them.
Oops, my bad. All right. M. Night Shyamalan is on a mission to find out if there is life after death. He is teaming up with SyFy Channel to work on his first scripted TV project. The director will be joined behind the scenes by Buffy the Vampire Slayer's Marty Noxon, and with whom he'll co-write and executive produce the show.
I like Marty Noxon.
I do too. And the show is called Proof. Here's the official synopsis for Proof. After the tragic accident and sudden death of his parents, the son of a billionaire tech genius offers a large reward for anyone who can find proof of life after death. I kind of wonder where it goes from there.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I know he's kind of taken his fair share of bad rap lately, but I like M. Night Shyamalan, and I do like that he's not afraid to delve into things like religion and spirituality and the effects of things, everything from aliens to environmental issues on the human condition. So, yeah, I mean, I like the idea that, he's not afraid to go for it. So, even if he falls short, at least he got out there and gave it a shot. I admire that. Yeah,
I think he's one of my favorite directors. I think he just got kind of stuck in a gimmick that people were always expecting, and he couldn't live up to it, a shock ending.
But on a technical level, I mean, if you watch his directing, I mean, even if there are issues with plots and it may not be your thing, you have to admit that he is a very technically good director, and he manages to put out good quality shots consistently, I think. So.
Mm-hmm. So, well, before Marvel decided to get into the movie-making game themselves, boy, have they gotten into the game, right? They sold rights to different characters to different studios, which is why you probably won't see Spider-Man or the X-Men in the Avengers universe anytime soon.
Of course not.
But now, thanks to a new deal, a very possible deal, tied to Fox and Daredevil, one of the biggest Marvel Universe baddies, Galactus, could return to Marvel. Now, Fox owns the film rights to Daredevil and also the Fantastic Four. But if they don't start filming a sequel or reboot of Daredevil by October 10th, the rights revert back to Marvel. Now, Fox currently is in talks with Joe Carnahan to put together a Frank Miller-esque, hardcore 70s thriller version of Daredevil.
Huh.
So Fox doesn't really want to lose those Daredevil rights. So they're wanting to cut a deal with Marvel. But Marvel wants to, wants something in return. And what they want in return is the Marvel Universe villain Galactus and his herald, the Silver Surfer. You may remember them, or versions of them, in the most recent Fantastic Four movie. Now, sorry, Fantastic Four isn't part of the proposed deal, because apparently there's a reboot in the works by Chronicles' Josh Trank to make a brand new Fantastic Four movie. So what do you think? You want to see the Avengers take on Galactus after they take on Thanos, or Thanos?
Why not?
Yeah, so hopefully, the Planet Eater Galactus, he's probably the only guy that's more powerful than Thanos.
I wonder if you're going to show someone eating a planet on film.
It's easy.
I guess she's pretty much can do anything on film now. I mean, does he take multiple bites? Can he swallow it whole?
He usually uses some kind of device that breaks up the earth.
Yeah, but I just don't know what they're going to do.
I don't know. The Galactus in the Fantastic Four movie was very different. And kind of.
That's what I mean. With the creative liberties that. It's a wonder.
They do a great job. So now we haven't heard much about Bryan Singer's planned Battlestar Galactica film since it was announced way back when. That is until now.
Woohoo.
Singer spoke a little bit about his planned big screen reboot of the SyFy franchise to IGN. He quote, "I have a script that's in revisions right now, and it's very cool," Bryan Singer said about the John Orloff's script. "It will exist, I think, quite well between the Glenn Larson and Ron Moore universes. But that's all I want to say about it." He also said, "But it's evolving quite well and quite recently. I've been developing this for a while, and certain things came to fruition recently, and I hope to do it. I hope to do it." It just kind of ends right there.
He likes to get to the point.
Yes. So, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about Big Screen Battlestar Galactica so soon after Ron Moore's film.
I would be more excited about it being a continuation of the Ron Moore.
I don't know how you would continue it, though.
I don't know either. But I just really liked it. So, I don't know.
Okay, well, speaking of Marvel, how about X-Men First Class, the sequel? I know we really enjoyed that movie.
That was very good.
Now, Bryan Singer also announced last week the follow-up to his to last year's First Class. And it's going to be called X-Men Days of Future Past. Now, comic book fans may recognize the title from an iconic story arc that was by the same name, which alternates between present and future, where the X-Men go to overturn Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, and now mutants are forced to live in camps, and it's up to the present-day X-Men to prevent this timeline from occurring. Basically, this is what Sater said. I can say it's being written right now, and it will start shooting in a few months. It's going to be very ambitious. It's called Days of Future Past, and it deals with aspects of that comic, but also some very new things. I just don't want to give any of it away. Matthew Vaughn will be directing, and I'm totally excited about it. Now, of course, just because it uses the title of that story arc doesn't mean it's going to be exactly like it. So, but boy, does it open up possibilities. I don't know. I want Wolverine. Let's put Wolverine back in there.
You know, I did not have high hopes for X-Men First Class before we saw it, but I was just blown away by it. I really thought it was absolutely fantastic, well directed, well acted, well cast, well written. It was I think that they really could have promoted it more heavily than they did.
Yeah, I mean the third X-Men movie kind of wasn't so great.
No, this blew that one out of the
water. So I really wasn't expecting a whole lot, but boy, it was really great. It was a good time period film, and
yeah.
All right, well, enough about us. Enough news.
Yeah, who cares what we think about anything?
We got 2 interviews to get through, so let's get through the first one. So now it's time for our first interview. So here's an excerpt from an interview with Alpha's newest cast member, Erin Way. It was a fun little chat, and here we go.
Ben thinks he's a tough guy.
Trust me, short stack, he is.
He's gonna get his ass kicked.
All right.
The problem, old man? So many bitches all over the place. I can't hit them.
You see that dude? He messes with your eyes. Like a camera flash going off in your face. Makes you see all double and triple.
How does he do that?
He's got a special talent. All the fighters do. They're alphas. I play the character of Kat, and she meets Harkin at I guess Harkin and Hicks both at an underground alpha fight club. And her special ability is that she can basically learn any skill instantly. So that includes knowledge and muscle memory. It's essentially kind of like she can just download it almost instantly. And the only downside is that she has a bit of a memory problem. So after about a month or so, she starts losing memories of the past. So while she retains her memory, she can't remember how she learned them or who she knows or where she came from, which, you know, is a little problematic. She's a very, very strong female character, which I not only enjoy watching, but I enjoy playing. You know, she can fight. She's tough. And I think that's really cool. It's a cool thing that SyFy tends to do for females in general, is that they tend to have really strong female characters. So that intrigued me. And then also just the fact that I would be learning a new skill on a weekly basis was kind of cool, you know, and I basically would have a new ability each on a very regular basis, which I just found, I was like, well, I'm never going to get bored with this girl.
I was wondering if you're a fan of SyFy, and how does acting in a SyFy show like Alpha's differ from the more quote-unquote normal shows like Detroit 187 or Private Practice that you've acted in?
I'm a huge fan of SyFy. Never done a SyFy show or movie before, so it was kind of a surreal experience. But I'm a huge... I mean, you can kind of name the SyFy shows, and I'm a huge sucker for them. So that was kind of awesome. That I had to pinch myself on a couple occasions that I was going to, you know, be a part of that genre finally. It was really cool. It would kind of go without saying. I'm so cliche, but I'm a huge Buffy and Firefly and Dollhouse and so Josh Whedon for sure. I basically, any show that he does, I don't even doubt that I'm going to like it because I just know that I will. While I love the other genres that I've been a part of, Private Practice and Detroit 187 it's a little bit, I wouldn't say it's like comparing apples and oranges because there is definitely the procedural element a little bit in there with alphas, which makes alphas a little different in that we are trying to solve not necessarily crimes, but, we're trying to figure out what's behind incidents that are unexplained. So in that way, it's a little bit like a crime drama like Detroit 187, but the world of sci-fi is so much bigger, and the possibilities of what can happen and what people are capable of is, because it's sci-fi, it doesn't have to be based in quote-unquote reality. So that to me is what's so exciting, is that the imagination and the scope of what can occur is huge. And because of that, it really is an exciting genre to be in. And so you kind of look forward to getting that script and being like, okay, what else are they going to stumble upon this week? And, and what is their ability going to be? Because it's probably going to be something that you've never even thought of. And so that to me is what's so exciting about this genre and makes my job really fun and never boring and interesting each week.
Okay. And how did it feel like being the new person in this cast? You're coming in the very beginning of season 2. Did they welcome you quite well? Was it easy to fit in?
Oh, they're so mean. No, no, they were great. They were just, it could be like the freshman at high school that gets picked on, and they had no obligation necessarily to treat me nicely, and they were all just bent over backwards to make me feel welcome. And by the end of that first episode, I felt like I was part of a huge family. And I think they all had their own perspective on the exciting thing that Kat was going to bring to the team dynamic. So I've been very blessed on both shows that I've worked on for a period of time, Detroit 187 and this one, to be surrounded by a group of actors that get along really well and that have that kind of a collaborative team mentality towards doing the show. So it's a team. It's a team of people that want to get along, want to make the show good, so no, I felt nothing but goodwill and just this warmth when I came on board. It was a big relief because there was a lot to take on my first episode. So had I been intimidated by the cast members, it would have been an extra kind of fear to kind of deal with. But they just made me feel like super, super comfortable, which was nice.
I was curious how you auditioned for this character, because your character's supposed to have all these different skills. Was it just dialogue and seeing about your personality, or did they throw any kind of curveballs at you to test like how quickly you can learn physical skills?
No, they did not, thank God, test me on any kind of physical skills. In the audition, basically description of the character, it did have, as it said, I think it was martial arts background a plus, but they clearly did not make that a necessity because I don't have any martial arts background. I have the dance background, which probably helps a little bit because I'm not completely physically retarded, so I'm at least coordinated. Mm-hmm. But no, that was not in the audition process at all. It was all dialogue, and over a series of I think 4 auditions total. I auditioned for the part 4 times, and then once I got it, then they were like, oh, and P.S. your first episode, you need to be an expert at kickboxing. And I was like, awesome. At that point, it was like, boy, we hope you're a quick learner, because here you go. And I had about a week. They moved me here to Toronto, and then I had about a week of training before starting on my first episode. So, they just trusted that I would be able to be a quick study, which is a lot of pressure. I'm not going to lie to you. But luckily it turned out okay. I think it all looks okay and good in the episode. So that's good.
So you think your ballerina background helps you? Because we talked about Summer earlier, and she's got the same kind of background, and she, of course, did a fantastic job in Firefly and Serenity, especially Serenity. Were you able to use that training, like to develop the beats, like of dancing to the fight?
Yeah. Well, I mean, in the sense that it's a little twofold. One, it's completely counterintuitive to how a dancer moves and holds their body. So that's the first thing that I found is like where the center of balance is and how a boxer holds their body is pretty much polar opposite of a dancer. However, what did come in handy was, was the coordination factor, the fact that I'm relatively coordinated with my body and relatively flexible still, which helps with the kicking and things of that sort. And then also, when you do a show like this, when you do fight scenes, they're choreographed, and you usually have about not very long. They usually teach you the choreography for the fight maybe the day before, often the same day. So the ability to learn choreography very quickly is really the key, actually, that I think came in most handy. Is I'm used to learning a dance, learning dance is learning a dance really fast. And so that's basically what you have to do when you come on set and have to fight. So that's really, I think, where it really came into handy. Otherwise, it was pretty much a retraining of my body of, like, how to hold myself and not look like a sissy. Dancers don't look like fighters. So I had to kind of retrain myself not to hold myself like a ballerina. So it did come in handy a little bit, for sure, in the important areas, I guess.
Okay. Well, I look forward to seeing it.
Great. Thank you.
People like me.
And thank you to Erin Way for agreeing to the interview. And you can check out Alphas every Monday on the SyFy channel.
Blog Talk Radio, where millions of hosts and listeners gather.